Glenn was on the ice in Detroit. We had that fight at the end of the game, and everybody was on the ice. I wasn't playing, but Eddie Mio was backing up Detroit. He grabs me. It's like he wanted to fight, and he's pushing me around and pushing me around. I'm looking back, and he's kind of pushing me back towards the benches, and I see Glenn going. He's going into Detroit's bench.
Oh, was Demir the coach?
Yeah, Jacques Demir's the coach.
He hated
Demir.
Demir. He's going at any excuse to go after Demir.
Well, next thing I know, Mio's pushed me over there, and it kind of run into Glenn or whatever, and Glenn was down, and next day he walks into practice, his hand's all bandaged up. I think my skate must have stepped right on his hand and cut him, but boy, it was, he was.
Well, you remember the Boston game?
How about, I was going to say, you at the Boston game, 604 minutes.
460 something was. It set the record.
600 and something.
I think it was like 492 or whatever.
Yes,
and
it was a lot of minutes.
What happened was at noon hour that day, I'm in Vancouver, and I'm actually Victoria. I was scouting. They had Brad Palmer and Barry Peterson playing then, and we knew that they were going to fall wrong in their spot, and the scouts wanted me to take a look at them. So at noon hour, when I called Glenn about the game, and he says, Louis, he said, it's our last time we're playing Boston. We've never won in here. We're going to catch them in the playoffs. I think we should make a statement tonight. I said, that's a good idea. Why don't you?
Center ice stop, and a fight right off. Casper pounding away, and that looks like Bobby Smith.
It's Crowder and Payne going at it now. The linesman trying to break them up. As this is early in the hockey game, 7 seconds into the hockey game. And we have Smith for the North Stars, Casper for the Bruins in the penalty box, and we'll see who else will go. Crowder and Payne being wrestled apart by the two linesmen.
And a penalty coming up here as O'Reilly goes jamming in the corner against Carlson. So it looks like a long night.
So the game out there starts at 7:30, which means it's already 10:30 here in Boston where you guys are playing. And I come down at the end of the first period. Bart Bradley's the chief scout for Boston, and it's about 10 after 8 there. And he says, what's the score in our game tonight? I said, no, it's not over. It's a long one. He said, Louis, they're playing on the East Coast. I said, Bart, this is going to be a long one.
As Milbury jams in the Young'uns, and here they go. Young'uns and Milbury. And both getting in their licks. Craig Hartsburg and Mike Gillis. They'll be going out, and Hartsburg getting some effective licks in against Gillis as Milbury is off for battling Young'uns.
And Ray Newell draws out the piece of paper and the pencil, but the pencil doesn't seem to want to work. He was trying to write some numbers down. And it goes without saying that he might have lost control of this game, at least at this moment. And we'll see what the penalties will be.
Now, there they go, Bourque and McAdam. And Bourque comes right back at him, and they're toe-to-toe, Bourque and McAdam. Al McAdam from Prince Edward Isle, a veteran of National Hockey League play, and Ray Bourque. And the linesmen adopting different strategy this time. They're going to let them fight.
And I remember the last thing I heard was after we had 5 guys on the bench and they had 6 and the game's over, and Ziegler called me the next day because he was really upset and he was going to find myself and Glenn I said, look, I've been telling you for a long time, you want a war, we're going to give you a war, so we gave it to you. He said, your coach is going around yelling at their coach, come on down here, I'm going to knock your head off, and they're going to send it back in the basket.
Fight at the bench. Keith Crowder, Marco Barron, Greg Smith. The bench is empty. A wild scene at the Boston Garden bench as the Minnesota players come off. This was Greg Smith. As far as I could see, Keith Crowder and Marco Barron starting that. And the cameraman is right in the midst of it. And the punches are whirling all over the Garden. And it is one of the wildest scenes we have ever seen at the Garden. It started, that cameraman is not going to make it, John, in the runway.
It is hard to understand what prompted this #1 and how it came to carry on the way it has.
So they find us 25,000.
I think Cheevers was the coach.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Brossiker and Collins, the two linesmen, I think they're tired. They're going to let these fellows fight from here on. And when they finally get tired, and there goes McCrimmon and Greg Smith. And a left by McCrimmon. And back comes Greg Smith with some effective rights. And they're really exploding now. Newell looking on. Some heavy hitting there. John, we had a long 17 days off, and one of them I saw some amateur fights down in North Dartmouth. And I think the program went about 3 hours, but I tell you, there's been more fighting here.
Well, I think that Dave Newell right now has got to start throwing players out of this hockey game. That's the only way he's going to settle, or any chance to settle this thing down, is to throw a couple of players out and warn them that any more fighting, he's going to throw them out.
McCrimmon and Roberts go at it, and Roberts pounds him down. So, thankfully, the linesman, Brossiker, steps in. Gordy Roberts and Brad McCrimmon. McCrimmon already was being bounced out for fighting Greg Smith.
The Boston was a good game.
Boston
That
was
was
great.
that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And then
The
we
Boston
put them
thing?
out 3 straight.
Right.
Well, look what happened.
Yeah.
We come back the next game. Is back in the Gardens for the start of the playoffs. We come out banging them. They didn't want. There was no moss, man.
We beat them 3 straight.
We don't want any of this crap. And that was the end of it.
And the best part is Kevin McHale was sitting with me right in the middle of the crowd and standing up cheering and yelling. And he's the beloved guy of the Celtics.
Right, but he's cheering for
they
us.
loved cheering for us. They
Yeah.
were just throwing stuff at him, mad at him themselves. Unbelievable.